I can do it.
That's real positive.
Or you can sit in here, oh, we need more chairs, that's no problem. Or you can sit on your knees, you know.
Don't let it fool you. Stay put. What's wrong?
From you.
Falling all the time.
You're the one that needs the water. Okay.
I'm a delight.
Sure are. That's it. I would like a motion to adjourn. Yeah, right. Okay, all right, I'm ready now.
I'm ready too.
Okay, are we going?
We're going.
Oh, we're going. Okay, well then let's call this meeting to order. Let's see here. It is 7:04, calling meeting to order. Let's do roll call. John, let's start with you.
John Hughes, city attorney.
Ryan Sending, Ward 2.
Deborah McIsaac, Mayor.
Nikki Ryan, Ward 1.
Okay, and Steve, where's Steve?
Steve Bovee.
They got
Ward.
you. Call in as a guest, so I think he's gonna be listening in though, so. But he's not sure of his connection because he's on the road, so he's gonna basically view, okay? So I don't want to keep track of you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Perfect. Okay, let's take a look at the minutes, July 9th. Do we have any commentary? I thought it looked good.
I did find an error, but I think when you printed it, you fixed it.
We fixed it.
Okay.
There's a double A somewhere.
Oh, my.
So you fixed the little double A typo.
Double A.
I must have, or maybe it fixed on its own. I don't know.
Could have been.
Then I would like a motion.
Thank you for the motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Stephen, thank you. Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, we're on the public time. Anyone here for public time? For those of you that are new, you have the opportunity during
No,
public time.
approval claims
Huh?
first. Claims payable first.
I don't want to do claims payable. Okay, we're gonna do it for the claims payable, sorry. Get all excited.
A little heftier than usual this time because all the work,
As we've had, oh my gosh.
all the work.
I need sunglasses for this one. Okay, so we have all the claims in there. It's a little hefty because we have, our road work line items in there. Money well spent. We're gonna be so happy with all the roads being done the way that they need to be done. So do you guys have any questions on the claims?
I have one there.
Yep.
Dave's hardware charge for graffiti cleanup.
Mhm.
Is that related to vandalism that was done in our park?
Yes, it is.
So is the parents of the parties reimbursing that to the city?
I don't know if that conversation happened, but I know that the parents are aware and the children have all had a conversation with city employees.
Thank you.
You bet. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay,
Make the motion to approve the claims payable.
I'll second that.
all those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, Steve. Any opposed? Motion passes. Now is it okay if we go to public time?
Okay, I'll figure that.
Now we can do public time. So for those of you that aren't aware of what public time is, it allows citizens to stand up and ask the council whatever questions you want. Typically, we like to keep it to 3 minutes apiece, but whatever you need, we're here for you. What you got? Yes, Deb?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to Liz for all the work that she did for dog days. It was fun, excellent, great job.
Hey!
I had help.
You know,
Thank you.
those kind of events are never just a one-person show.
Yeah.
And honestly, how many different groups did we have? I mean, we'll do a recap later, but yes, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for- She put in a lot of hours, so.
But it was fun.
Yes, it was wonderful, and we'll talk about it more. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hi, yes, for those of you who don't know me, this is my fiance Hannah and I'm Calvin. We just moved into 271 Lovely down there.
Well, the reason that, we came in here today was to talk about our property lines and some of that. We got a letter in the mail that we need to mow our embankment, which, I guess I don't know how far you're, I didn't find any ordinances. I read through the website and found the ordinances and tried to read what I could. I don't know how far from the road, how much of a boulevard you guys, require, I guess, but it's 17 feet from our property line to the road. And we're on an embankment. And I was just wondering if maybe we could extend our property line to actually be our property in order to mow it, because that's a lot of property. We've got 132 foot along the street that we have to mow. And then off of Lovely, and then off Third there's 150 foot, and it's all embankment. And I feel like that's a lot to ask of us to mow that much. That's not really our property on the embankment. If it was flat, it might be another story. But either, what I'm thinking is, like I said, extend the property lines or work out some other alternative that we could get to, so we don't have that problem again, because it was, I will admit, it was getting long. And we just hadn't had time to come in and talk. I'm an on-road construction worker and she's a overnight nurse. So we just hadn't had time, so we made a point to come here. So we just, like I said, it was obstructing a view at the stop sign there, and I get why you guys sent us the letter. I just wondered if we could find common ground on something to both of us be happy with that.
Sure. So, a couple things. Correct me if I'm wrong here, okay? So throughout the entire city, there is a portion of land that goes from the road to property lines, and that is typically called right of way, right?
Okay, yeah.
So there's right of way.
Yeah.
Sometimes, by definition, by legal definition, sometimes if not all the time, it's referred to as a boulevard,
Yeah.
which is from the property line to the street. It may or may not include a sidewalk, but it's still referred to as a boulevard.
Yeah,
The state of South Dakota, I did a little research on this because
Okay.
Lacey told me you were gonna come ask this question. And you're not the first person to ask this question. It's come up before, and typically it happens when there is an embankment because, it makes it a little more tricky to maintain the land. So the state of South Dakota allows municipalities to be able to, govern and manage, all lands within a city. So that's private land, that's public land, that's boulevards, that's all like that kind of stuff. It also allows the municipality to be able to ask abutting property owners to take care of the public property that is next to their property.
okay,
Okay, and so the state of South Dakota allows us to do that as a municipality. What that does is it's basically everybody's job, whoever's got whatever's in front of your house, between what's in front of your house and the street is kind of yours to take care of too.
okay,
And so that includes snow removal, removal of noxious weeds, that kind of thing, making sure, like you said, sightlines and stuff like that. It's just kind of a community effort. So everyone that has land against a city street is responsible for maintaining the boulevard in front of their street. There's also very specific requirements with trees and different things like that too. And so it is not with any consideration of the grade of the land. Okay, and so we had this conversation back in July of 2022 with some citizens that had some questions too about the very same thing in a different street. And so we went in there and we found those ordinances. We also found that in our local ordinances, if you pair the ability for us to be able to gather noxious weeds with the state's rights for a municipality to have abutting, to be able to govern the land within the city, it does give the municipality the right to ask you to maintain that land.
okay.
And so that's where that comes from. And I appreciate your measurements.
Yeah.
I can tell you, we don't have the most land in the city to have to maintain, but it is a lot. I'm not discounting that. But it really just kind of comes with living in Baltic because everybody has to do the same thing. Does that help explain things a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. So can I maintain it the way I see fit? Like if I wanted to spray that, kill everything off, could I do that?
No, it's.
I think it,
Maintaining the sigil,
Well, like you said, most of it was weeds, nuisance
the
weeds.
weeds can't be over 8 inches, but it
Yeah.
also, I don't think as far as there's a specific statement in our local ordinances that talk about the care in, making the city look as good as it possibly can. So going with the scorched earth, theory on that is probably not aligning with the look and feel of it.
In I'm zoning regulations, the unpaid portion of a dedicated public right of way abutting any development shall be landscaped with sod, seed, or other living ground covered.
Okay.
So you're kind of, yeah, you could, I mean,
It's like creeping time, where that's, it's low level and it covers it, and then you don't have weeds to be maintained. I mean, you could certainly do green cover that is easier to maintain and you don't necessarily have to mow it. I don't think creeping time is though. There's definitely some low level greenery that you could put there that would not necessarily be as arduous to maintain, but would still meet the greenery requirement. So it's definitely worth looking at. Yeah.
Creeping time.
there's also, and this is just different things, and I think a lot of like golf course management. If you do a low volume, like flagstone sulfate roundup,
Yeah,
like at a 1%,
yeah,
a lot of times that'll yellow it, they won't kill it, but it'll slow down the growth, but that's, you gotta be really careful, because if you over spray an area.
and that's a good point too. So if it was yellow, non-alive,
Well, it'll still be alive, cause doing a low
yeah,
volume like that, they do that, that's a kind of a turf management
Yeah.
practice. But you gotta be careful that it also will kill it and then kill
Yeah.
everything off, if you get too much of a volume, so I mean, one of the tough things to do.
and that can't be over 8 inches at that level, okay. Sounds good.
Is that a good question to build off of that? So like, in that case, like, could he do decorative grasses or like, could he do the scorched earth thing like in the fall and then replant something else in the spring?
I would have to research that for that.
Yeah.
I'm not prepared to talk to.
Yeah.
I haven't done enough
Like
research.
some geraniums and stuff, make it like
Gardening.
yeah, not like a flower bed kind of thing. That's what I was kind of.
I would imagine as long as, especially because you're on the corner, you need to be mindful of the sightlines. And so I think that there's other ordinances that talk about the height limitations on a corner, but I'm I'm guessing right now, I'm totally guessing right now. So, but yeah, I mean, we're all about finding a solution that works for you, but it, still works for the city. So we're gonna totally go with that.
But you could might look pretty well.
Look at the green thumb over here.
There is actually a sedum that is low growing and it's low to the ground and it gets little yellow flowers and it spreads.
Okay.
And I had it on the south side of my house for probably 20 years and it was just, there was never a weed because it was just covered everything.
Stone crop.
And
I
the
don't
young
know.
lady that's just a couple seats down from you is like basically a master gardener, so she could probably give you some really, really good ideas of things that.
Yeah, I didn't bring her over for our produce store.
I-
That's
I-
empty.
You might want to enlist a little bit of her sage advice. So-
Well, thank you for your time. Sorry I took up more than 3
No,
minutes.
no, it's
I
okay.
appreciate it.
It's okay. Yeah, did you have any other questions? Yes, sir?
Like, for in front of my house or something, like, does it matter if I have different kinds of plants? Like, is there a list of plants that I can put in front of my house?
You mean in the front yard?
Yeah, in my front yard.
There's,
Cause
I guess the best person to talk to is Ryan, because he knows the
You
ins
need
and outs.
work. The
Like-
hard part is with the boulevard, you do something nice and we have a bad winter.
Yeah.
If we, like, I know a lot of people like to put landscape rock and, oh, I'm just gonna put this there because it's easier to maintain. I just spray it, there's nothing there. It's supposed to be living, but like the landscape around that, if we go in and damage it in anything, there is no fault to the city to have to come back and repair any damage that we try our best to maintain it. We don't try our best not to damage it in the first place, but a lot of times I've seen, we don't want to put anything in there of value because if something, I'll say 2 years ago when we had all that snow, we were pushing snow, not knowing what's underneath the snow, if you had
Oh. I
flower
remember.
plants or something.
Yeah, okay, you were here, the 4 feet of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it, we just don't know, well, mainly, we don't want to have fire hydrant, after that, we're just trying to get stuff there, and that's the one thing that's why.
Well, I just know that there's like the height,
Yeah.
that you can't go past, and I was like, oh, I would like to plant more things in my front yard, not necessarily right on the street, but.
In your
Yeah,
front yard,
that way,
there is really no regulation
You
of
can
us
plant whatever you want.
stopping anything.
Okay.
But when the boulevard,
Boulevard.
It's like no trees or shrubs.
If you plant a juki, you can eat it. and it attracts butterflies and hummingbirds in it.
Oh, thank
And you
you.
can go out and munch
Well,
it.
that's good. I was looking for
Look at this guy.
One more question about the garden. Is there anything that says how much grass to garden area? If I want to put in a gigantic garden, is there any ordinance that says?
Well, 50% of the yard needs to be green space. And
It can be hard, yeah, so I'd say consider a garden green space. It's just you have to be on your property. You can't go back.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
And then, sorry, last thing. So I know too that like there is ordinances and stuff that like if you have specifically like peeling paint or anything like that, like it needs to be repaired. When do we have to have that done by? Cause I live in a very old house.
there is, I know that if you deal with our code enforcement team, they'll work with you on it. If you're communicating with them,
Okay.
there's a process to it. I don't know the specifics.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a notice yet, but I'm like, I'm sure one's gonna.
If you do basically what he said is, if you call and say, hey, I can't afford it right now, but I'm gonna save money over the next year, he's totally fine with that as long as they have like a timeline. So,
Got it.
You'll find that they're very
yeah,
reasonable.
he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, very reasonable. Great questions. And then if you ever have other questions, you don't always leave. You are always welcome to come to City Hall meetings, but if you have specific questions that you want answers to, City Hall is always available to help you with those things. So, yeah, we're here
Do you
to
live
help.
right, do you live right around here?
Yep, next street over.
Oh, so you live on Negros?
Yeah, it's really
So,
old down there.
Nikki is your alderman. Nikki is your alderman, so if you have questions, you can get a hold of her.
And I have a card for you.
Just gonna get your card, so she works for you. We all do. We all work for you, but she's a great first place to stop.
All the fields tonight.
My sister-in-law lives right across the street from.
Oh, yeah, don't trip.
Marcy,
Yes, yep.
See, such a love her.
there you go.
Any other questions, guys? Rita, you want to throw something in? Are you good? Okay. Okay, okay. Okay, so on to old business. The school is asking with the finalization of the school to be able to turn Bulldog Avenue back to a two-way street, since we formally voted it to have it be a one-way street. Probably makes sense to have it formally voted back to a two-way street. I know, but we have to have it on record. So I need a motion.
Make a motion, turn Bulldog Avenue back into a two-way street.
I'll
Sorry,
second.
Nikki.
Okay, so we have a motion to turn Bulldog Avenue back to a two-way street as it's being used today. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Oh, Steve? We have an aye?
Hi,
Thank
I
you.
put you on mute. I'm trying to eat.
That's okay, thank you. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. And then I'm not getting first and second, but you're getting this right.
I got him.
Okay, and then, do we have any updates on the veterans memorial?
We haven't heard any.
Okay, that's okay. We'll keep you posted. We'll just keep it on old business until we have it. And then, the Verizon wireless agreement, a couple months back, we talked about this because Verizon pays us to have their wireless towers up here. And so there was an agreement that we needed to sign, and I thought we voted on it.
It was back in April of 23, we voted it through, but since it's a new, the work never got completed. So
Okay.
they're just following up, new calendar year, they want to make sure everything's still
Okay.
approved. So they're just asking for a new formalization of it and
Sure.
a new agreement to sign.
So I just need a motion to allow me to sign that agreement.
I'll make a motion to give Deb the authority to sign the Verizon wireless agreement effective today.
Perfect.
Second.
And second, all those in favor say aye.
There you go, Deb.
Aye.
Thank you, Steve. Any opposed? Motion passes. And then again, item D and E will be tabled until we have updated information, but we keep everything on old business, so that way we know what's going on. And then, as far as new business, we had a replat request from the P and Z. Do you just want to speak on behalf of that really quick?
Yep, yeah, so you're opening the hearing, I mean, there's,
Oh, that's right. So then do we need to,
Oh,
you just declare this, well, it's on the agenda. now. So
It's
it's
just
just,
that.
yeah, so it's just a, full formal hearing. It's just. anyway.
okay, so do I have to have a motion to open this up to public hearing or not?
Just ask if anyone's here to speak to.
Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the replatting of Prairie Avenue for purposes of public hearing? Okay,
Okay, so what it was when the lumberyard sold the lots, they were zoned as R2 residential, which is set up for duplexes. They requested a couple years ago to rezone them to R3, which is a multiplex, like a fourplex that there's multiple in town. At the same time as when they did that, they should have replatted it because the lots are set up for individual ownership of a duplex
Mhm.
home. But since it's all one property, one unit, those lots now need to be combined so that everything is correct for the property and the lots. So that's what the
That's
planning
what
and
this-
zoning had a hearing for, was to take 6 lots, 2 of each to make them into 3 lots, just so that everything's legit for the platting of those properties.
So once again, we're just, correcting administrative errors that should have been corrected in the past.
Are you signing the, and difference?
I need a motion to give me the,
Sure.
so the P and Z already passed this, made the recommendation to the council to be able to, have us go ahead and approve this so we can have it filed with the county and everything properly notated. So I just need a motion to give me permission to go ahead and sign this on behalf of the city and upon the recommendation of P and Z. Or here, it's your turn.
I took over a lot. I'll make the motion to give Deborah the authority to rezone lots 43 plat,
Replat.
replat lots 54 and 55 into 54A, 56 and 57 into 56A, 58 and 59 into 58A.
Woo! A lot.
I'll second that.
Perfect. We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Then the motion does pass. I don't have anything to sign here. You're gonna give me.
It's right there, Deborah, my word.
No, oh,
There should be a,
this is the second.
yep, that's
Okay.
the second page.
Just want to make sure I have, I'm just trying to get all these signed as I go through it. Perfect. The motion passes. I'll go ahead and sign that and we'll get it filed with the county, right? So then that'll go.
No, we'll actually give it back to the property owner. He will,
Perfect.
we just have to sign it. They have to take care of everything else.
Okay, I'll sign that. Okay, perfect. And then, let's see here. Engineering update.
Exciting time of the night. Lacey, you threw me off a little bit.
Speak like there's no engineering.
The report, so. I'm just giving you a little brief here. So engineering report, there are gonna be, 3 motions that will along. We can hit those at the end. But just general project update, we're gonna go off the report, water main looping project. So that has been on hold here for the past 2 weeks. In particular, there will be a change order that's presented tonight. The change order involves some public utilities on Fourth Street, for sanitary sewer. So Ryan and I are working together. It makes sense to get those included in this project now. For your efficiency, there's a contractor on site. Pricing is reasonable, so our recommendation is to go ahead with that change order. So if we get approval tonight on the change order, they'll start again in short order here on Fourth Street. That'll probably be the most disruption on this project as they will close the road for that stretch as they get the water main in there. So it'll be a couple weeks worth of work. So we'll just ask that people be patient with us as we have that stretch closed down. There will be access to all the properties at the end of the day, but just due to site safety, et cetera. There will be some disturbances on, water service in that area for short periods of time. We'll try to communicate those as best we can with the affected residents. We'll give out flyers, Lacey, and then also let you know at the office here. That way, call in if they do call in. But that's just to make our necessary water main connections, pressurized systems, sometimes we gotta close it down. So, in tonight's packet, we do have a pay request in the amount of $120,000 and some odd cents.
$120,044.85.
Yep, and that's for the work that's completed to date, and then the change order that I noted with the $62,000, $627.16.
Where's that at? Is that included in this?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
included.
Okay.
Any questions on the water main looping project? Moving over to our Oak Ash utility improvements project. So this week they did get, Lovely all patched up, so we're out of there, working on ash right now. So there's a lot of work going on up there. They got sanitary sewer installed, water main pretty much installed all of that stretch, so then we'll start heading north and then go up to, Oaks as well. So that project is moving along. They are continuing to push. It's a little longer project. They will have some deep sewers, so it may seem like it's moving slow, but they got a lot of work to do. Still anticipated to have that project done this fall, so coordinating with contractor on there, we are gonna run into seasonal limitations, so. They're on board and they're pushing on that. So we do have a pay request for this project as well. In the amount of,
$97,255.31.
exactly, and that's for the work that's completed today, mainly the water main from Lovely up along Third over there, pavement removal, steep pavement as well.
John, do we need separate motions to approve?
Yes.
I need a motion for the,
Are we gonna do the third one?
I think the change order was
So,
one, right?
yeah, we can do, for the water main, when we have a change order and pay request. So
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 it's,
those are one and two.
pay out number 3 and change order number 1.
How many more change orders are we gonna, should we expect?
Don't expect to have.
Because they're above and beyond the contract, am I wrong?
But that is above and beyond the contract. But we are still under the overall engineer's estimate on the project too. So that's a good point to know. Our original engineer's estimate was like 632,000, which was still underneath, some of the funding, contract came in at 500,000. So that's additional.
So that's not this.
But and a lot of times too, just full transparency with the council, there will be some change orders that come along, some items that will go under, some that will like to have those in place in front of you guys every step of the way. And then when we get to the end, it's real clean. So that's the other.
so we should get a motion for the change order. Okay, so let's do a motion for the change order. So we're doing this as we go.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to, take care of the pay application number 3 in the amount of $120,044.85. And change order number 1 in the amount of $6. That's it?
We're gonna do separate motions.
Yeah.
Steve, you want to second that one?
Second,
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, so I'll sign this one. Next one.
Okay, let's pay request number 3.
The one, the 120.
$120,044.85.
Consider that one. And I'll make a motion to, accept the $62,627.16 for the water main looping project change order.
Number 1.
Well, that was, should have all been, well, both those amounts were a number.
You second one. Well,
They're separate because the one is the pay application number 3 and the change order is the number 1 for the project.
so we're having separate motion.
Okay, all right, cool.
And so where do I sign this?
Second,
We have a second, first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
aye,
That's opposed. Okay, we're gonna get this one done. The motion passes. Hold on a second. Let me do this as we do this.
Do these in-
Can I separate this or not?
I don't
Okay,
think
there
that
there we go. That's okay. Got it there. Okay, now we have pay request number 2.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept pay application number 2 in the amount of $97,255.31 for the Oak and Ash Utility Improvements Project.
Wasn't the 120,000 pay application?
No, that was
That's a difference.
that's for a different project.
Okay, I'm just asking because I don't know it's on the agenda.
Second,
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
aye.
aye,
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Steve. All right, getting that one.
The last thing on the engineer's report, bringing up a project, we'll look for a motion in this one, but the main lift station improvements, bringing that one back up. So would like approval to go up bid on that. Ryan and I will coordinate this week, make sure we're all on the same page before that hits the streets, but we coordinated on that previously. Get that hit out on the streets, just as we meet every month. We would be looking at a bid date of September 5th, 2024. And then we'd be able to bring those bids to council September 10th. 2024, that is SRF ARPA funded project. The timeline on that is just having a construction contract in place by the end of the year. Figure if we bid it right now, we should receive some decent bid price, have the contract period go from essentially this fall into next year. If they have availability to come in this fall to start work, they can, or to start next spring, locking it work for next year. So,
We need a copy of this too. You want to give, any questions on that, guys?
So we would just be looking for a motion to transfer the bid for that.
So you want to go to bid for the main lift station improvements? Okay. Can we give this gentleman permission to go to bid?
Make the motion to give Justin the ability to go to bed for the lift station.
I'll second that.
I have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. You're spending almost as much money as Ryan does.
No, but it's the money is right.
The contractors are, it's not just us. But to reiterate, Oak Ash, water main, handling, station will start all of the harness or actually the project.
Yes.
On the exit here, it's all reimbursed, but there are those loans that are prepaid, so.
All of that was stuff that has been in the works for over 2 years, and we just have the pleasure of executing it. So we got a third of that paid for by the federal government, and then the taxpayers are footing the other 60%, 66% of the bill. And we have that financed for the maximum amount of years that they were allowing us to do. And so it allows us to be able to pay for projects like this that we would never be able to afford as a city. And so we're actually really lucky we got to get this stuff done. I know it's kind of a mess, but at the end of the day, we're really lucky because it's nothing that we could ever afford on our own. So well done getting all that for us. Okay, I just have to check one more thing to make sure I have all of this.
Anything else to know on the projects, right?
I have a question. I just gotta check this really quick.
Justin, before we move on to this.
Yep.
Baltic school starts August 20th. We have a passel of kids that live over on Oak. We have a school crosswalk right there where the construction zone is. Anything you can do to remind your contractor that our kids are important and valuable to us would be appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up.
Just make a little bit of. That goes perfect. Thank you. And then, and then,
I do got a quick question, if it's all right.
go ahead, Steve.
I think you said, there's a project on schedule for the water?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
that's what I thought I heard,
yes.
but we were kind of cutting in and out there. I couldn't hear.
Yep, for the most part, we're good to go. So as long as the weather works with us, we'll be all right. So on to Baltic Heights Park.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who, may not have been able to follow this, we've been talking about this a long time because the wheels of municipalities move slow, right? So we have been working on, I think since we got into office, trying to figure out what we can do to add amenities to Baltic Heights Park. So we've looked at a variety of different designs. We've been looking at splash parks, pickleball courts, basketball courts, lights. We've even looked at another softball field. We've been looking at a lot of different things. We found some grants that we applied for, and we just got notified this week that we did not make it to the second bucket of the grant application process. What that does for us is it has us, we need to take a step back and figure out what we want to do. And so there's a couple of different options. We can continue to look for other financing options. We can look at corporate sponsorships. We can look at different things like that. In the meantime, we were doing some rough math. Justin and I were kind of spitballing a little bit. We figured that the preliminary plan, if you just want to make round numbers, we thought it was about $600,000 to do the pickleball / basketball courts, the splash park, Do a couple of upgraded, landscaping things around the stuff. So basically with the preliminary concept, it's about $600,000. And in the scope of municipalities, that's nothing, and so we have approximately 500 rooftops. And in order for a municipality to pay for anything, it comes out of property taxes or it comes out of utilities. It's really the only way municipalities have a way to finance anything. And so we were looking at that and we were doing kind of rough numbers. And we were working it out that it would be like $15 a month a household for us to self-finance the additional amenities in the park. Roughly. And so, we're gonna do some more research on that. We're gonna figure out what we want. We need to reach out to the citizens to see if that's how they want us to spend their money, because all of this, sometimes I find that citizens don't realize that this money doesn't come like manna from heaven. Everything that we do to operate the city comes out of your property taxes and it comes out of your pockets, your taxes, either in the form of property taxes or utilities or your garbage bills, or however, it's all your money. So, we've had an overwhelming interest and requests to upgrade our Baltic Heights Park to have more amenities for the kids in our town, so they have things to do. So that's why we embarked on this in the first place. We were all pretty disappointed to hear that we didn't hit the second rung of this grant process. But we thought if it's something that the citizens really want, we can find a way to do it. So the rough math was our first stab at it. And Justin's gonna do some more work on it and we'll keep you posted. But I think really what I would recommend to council is we come up with a way to reach out to citizens to see if this is something that they're interested in self-financing. And if they have the appetite for it, then we just move forward with the project. And if they don't, then we respect the wishes of our taxpayers and we keep her moving, right, Nikki? And so, that's, I just wanted to give you an update on Baltic Heights Park. Okay, yeah.
What form of, communication would you use to reach out to the community? I'm just curious on that.
Sure, so there's a couple of different ways we do it now. In this particular situation, when we're looking for a very specific question,
Yeah.
I would probably expect a survey, probably an online survey is probably one of the best tools. So Lacey and I would probably figure out a way to do that. I also, in my mind, would love to see us divide and conquer the citizens through our aldermen and just try to figure out how we can get as much feedback as possible on this type of an issue. Because it's nothing that would go to a formal vote. It would be more of a, like, let's reach out and really feel like what the pulse is for the citizens and then do what it is they tell us to do. And so it's not going to be a Facebook survey, if that's what you're wondering. It's going to be something a lot more formal. And I'll talk with Lacey about that, about the different tools. We'll obviously make it very public. It'll be in the water bills, however it is, that we can get there. Because really the water bills is probably the best list for us to go by, because it's really the people paying the utility bills that will help, that. Of course, it's offset by other, property owners, but we have to take a look at that. I don't know the different ways that we can assess when it comes to Parks and Rec, and that's what Justin's here for. So, between Justin and CCOG, we'll work with those firms that know how to do things like this and figure out the easiest way. The nice thing about a municipality is we're kind of considered a really safe lender, a safe borrower, if you will. And so, it's just a matter of figuring out what we can do and make the financing options as, amiable, as easy as we can. Because I know that, things are tricky right now, the economy's in a tricky place. And so, but at the same time, if we want the things, we have to decide what we want, right? And so, more information to come on that. Good question.
I have a question. Yeah, so I know you said it's about $15 a month for how long?
7 years is what we, 6.5 years is what
I
we're.
understood the math.
Thank you. And like I said, that's very spitballish, very spitballish. Obviously, as more houses get built, that gets disseminated. And if there's any other, like if we end up picking up a grant along the way or picking up other sources of funding along the way, that will help soften that as well. And so it's just a matter of figuring out how we can get it done. We were just spitballing.
Yeah, and like with the taxes with the new school and stuff, like, is that, I think I read a while ago that still hadn't quite hit us yet.
I'm pretty sure your school taxes have hit your properties by now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they
I
have.
haven't looked that closely because
Yeah.
want to throw up every time.
You know, then I just would love to publicly state that that is a separate bucket of money that has
Yeah.
nothing to do with us. And so,
Right.
and we love our school and we're glad that we made the investment in that. But again, because we are a small town, it does put us sometimes in a crossroads of what's really our priority, you know, as a community and figuring that out. So it's not a decision the council is going to make on their own and blindly. It will definitely be because of feedback of citizens. Yes, Deb?
Now, we're gonna talk later about confidence constitutes
Yes,
in the next couple of months.
yes, Deb?
Just a comment, I appreciate that you're gonna take the efforts and ensure that the people who are going to be asked to carry this tax burden will be the only people on those
Oh,
services.
I understand. Yeah, I understand.
I know.
I'm quite clear who our constituents are. Okay, so that's just an update on Baltic Heights Park. With CCOG, they're still moving forward with the Baltic Community Access Grant and the Transportation Alternative Grant. But those are things that we're doing to be able to in our long-term effort to be able to uptick the services on Lovely Avenue all the way from 6th to 1st. It's going to be year over year effort to be able to make that street the way we want it to. And the community access grant, I believe, is the one that is the sidewalks. We submitted a grant and put sidewalks on both sides of the street on 6th Street, all the way up from the north side of Baltic, all the way down to Lovely Avenue. So we had kids in the Heights had a sidewalk to get to safely. And, you know, for those of you who are familiar with the Heights, there are a lot of sidewalks. And so we want to make sure that there's at least one straight path to do that. We opted for 6th Street because that's an enclosed residential area, whereas 5th Street requires a lot more work because it is a single road with, you know, open ditches. And so 6th Street was the way to go. Hopefully, we do have site visits scheduled for those, though. I think they're going to be putting those on. So that tells us we're in the next rung of those. So cross your fingers. Hopefully we can get that money. And so that's the update on that. Justin, is there anything else we need to add to that? Okay. Ryan?
Just the South Dakota Transportation Alternative Grant. There will be a site visit tomorrow, actually,
Oh, thank you.
so.
We have a site visit tomorrow. Ding, ding. Everybody be on their best behavior.
Okay, in regards to the other, UFD, paperwork I saw about the Highway 115 project,
Yes.
for each of the meetings, they always, if you want to be a stakeholder, I signed this up kind of for the Del Rapids area, because that's just on the 22nd. So for the stakeholders, for council, and, people, they'd like you there like at 2:30, it's gonna start at 3. So, and then the open house is at 5 to 6:30, so everybody's welcome to go to the open house in regards to they're looking at 115 doing a project for 5 to 10 years of trying to extend it like Highway 11 to Fall. Trying to make it more, they're looking at all the different alternatives of making it safer, like, you know, Baltic Corner is one that was looked at, Midway Corner. So they're looking at different things, options, but this is just a preliminary process. They're gonna have an open house just to kind of say, this is what we're doing, this is kind of what we're looking at, so just to keep everybody informed. So that is August 22nd for in Del Rapids, and then the 21st, it's down at the
Special Olympics complex or building,
right off of Cliff Avenue, Sioux Falls, and Interstate.
you know, just the first street north of the interstate to the west. You can't miss it. It's big building, Special Olympics on Saturday.
Just so the stakeholder is at 3, so 2:30, between 2:30 and 3. If you want to go to the stakeholders part of it,
Yes.
Perfect. Anything else, Ryan?
no,
That's it? Just one?
well, I don't know. I
River swept down after the spring one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I know you want to spend money, so we're having.
Okay, Ms. Finance.
All right, we need to set a date for budgeting. We have to have a proposed budget ordinance draft by August 31st, which is, I believe, what I have. But no later than the regular board meeting in September or within 10 days from it.
Okay.
We have to have the first reading of the ordinance.
So I'm not sure if we can set that date here with Steve on the road and Brian not here at all. So I do think that we've publicly noted that that date will be set and we'll communicate it. I think that's important. Also Lacey, just put it off for us just for general information purposes as a potential suggested, but we're gonna go over it a little bit more.
Right.
And so but she did give that to, council. I don't know if that's in the public packets or not, so.
Yep.
Okay, so anyway, she put that in there just to kind of give everybody a heads up of where we're at. But more information to follow up. I just don't feel
I
comfortable
agree.
moving forward with this with only the people being remote.
So when is, when does that, when do you have to make the motion and accept the budget?
The second, let's see here, the second reading of and adoption of the budget is at least 5 days after the first reading of the appropriation. So
So the next council meeting is September 10th.
it has to be done by October. It has to be report levied to county auditor prior to October 1st.
But our preliminary budget needs to be reviewed by the first meeting in September, right?
Yes, and I know they did say at the meeting we went to, you can apply for an extension, but if we don't have to, it'd be nice to just.
Yeah, the thing is our expenses have been pretty predictable.
Yeah,
You know, there hasn't been a lot of variation. So I don't think that I don't see any reason why there would be anything different this next year. And I don't know if there's anything really crazy that we would have to consider, but anyway.
Still would like to research and get into
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
the mill and overlay program
Ah, okay.
to go with the slurry seal.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you got a project then, huh? Love it. Okay, so thank you for getting us prepared. Lacey will spearhead getting a date that works for our council and we'll let everybody know when that is. So everybody will be publicly notified on that. Okay, and then with, we still need a coffee with council date, but again, I don't know if it's good to do that with those. So let's do that offline and then we'll announce publicly for a coffee with council. For those of you guys, on Saturdays, we do a coffee with council. We try to do it 3 times a year where we just come here, have coffee, donuts, you know, whatever, and then you come talk to the councilman about whatever you want.
Ryan brought some kind of French toast thing that Holly made and I brought egg bake, so.
Yeah, so it's a joke. It's worth a joke. People who can cook bring the food. Yeah.
Is the best place for updates like the Baltic website for stuff like that? Or do you guys have a Facebook page that somebody runs?
The shopper that comes into your mailbox every Wednesday on the third page down at the bottom always has city updates. So you can always look at that and that hits your mailbox every single Wednesday. So we do updates of any community events in that. You can also go to the city website. The city website has a calendar and everything is in there on the calendar. So that's available to you at all times. Usually we announce via text. So if you're in the text service, you'll be able to be aware of any and all things that you need to know about the city. So being on the text service is another way to do it. We do have a city Facebook page as well. If you want to take a look at that, that's available to you as well. And what else? All of our public notices are in the Dakota Scout. And that is free to you and distributed around the area. There's always copies of it inside City Hall as well, but you can also get them at the local grocery stores. And I think down at Classic Corner has it too. So we really do try to make sure that you have all the information you need. And now you have the business cards of, you know, all your other ones. So yeah. Any other questions? Great questions. Yeah. And so coffee with council, we'll go ahead and find another date. And then dog days.
dog days, it'll be off schedule next week, but we had dog days last weekend. We had a really great turnout.
We did.
We're gonna have a post meeting so that we can just kind of go over what worked and what we'd like to do different next year. We're gonna try to gather up a little more community help to do that, but I would say it was a success.
It was an
super fun.
overwhelming success. And the way that we coordinated is that City Hall is the center spoke. So we do all the promotion. We're like the center point of information because, you know, obviously we're always here. But really, the only thing we oversee is the parade. And then everything else is done by other committees, other groups, other community groups, different things like that. And it is just wonderful to see the community come together to put on a 3-day festival. It really is just wonderful. We tried to take as many pictures as we could. And always, yeah, we do the fireworks too. We do the fireworks. And, so if you go to the City of Baltic Facebook page, there's a ton of pictures there that you can take a look. We tried to document as much as we could. And, but yeah, excellent job. And thank you to everybody in the community that helped participate. Thank you for the sponsors that helped, finance it. And so, it was just really, really well done. Looking forward to next year.
I'm just gonna mention one other thing, which is kind of Ryan's thing, but I'm gonna take it. There'll be a lead pipe survey going out. I know we've talked about it, but I'm gonna send out texts and put it everywhere. But this isn't like the kind of survey that's like, if you feel like it, we have to actually have every single household do this survey and,
It's
so,
mandatory.
so if we don't get it back from each citizen, we'll be knocking on your door. So, you know, I thought, you know,
I don't know. I think the alderman should have to.
yeah, there you go. Don't make Ryan or he'll drag me out there. So that's all I.
That does need to get done. It does need to get done. That's good. John, do you have any updates for us?
You know, I have a couple, an interested person just texted me some information on initiating measure 28.
Oh, yeah, I think
Oh,
the
yeah.
emails about that.
And, you know, so we're, and Justin and I are having a little sidebar here because as we're talking about all these things we want to do, and we're talking about what it would cost a homeowner an average month to do this or that. We're looking at kind of this elephant in the room. You know, as you know, I am 28.
No, a lot of people don't know what it is.
What is it?
Well, it says that, you know, it exempts from South Dakota sales tax, but we state and local tax, anything sold for human consumption. And
So John, when you say human consumption, is that defined in the state of South Dakota in any way, shape or form, like in Black's Book of Law?
well, what's in, well, it's.
The answer to that is no.
I have to tell you.
It's not. It's not defined.
We have a real problem. in-
We have to be very careful that we are not issuing any.
No, we're not. I'm just saying that we have a real problem in South Dakota because we have one of the most generous legal, should you say, legal framework to allow citizens to initiate legislation and constitutional amendments. And we have a number of these that are on the ballot. I'm not going to speak substantively, but I'm just going to address the language, the text. This is the time for everyone who is interested in funding government to become educated on what this means and to vote how they feel led to vote. But in a state with no income tax, we're so heavily reliant upon sales and service tax that we need to factor this into any discussion we have about future
It's true.
budgets, future needs. We have to take this into consideration and people need to be informed and realize that you can't have everything you want.
So the South Dakota Municipal League is a body that represents municipalities in the state of South Dakota. And they have researched extensively this ballot measure that's coming up in November, and they have informed the city of Baltic that if this ballot measure passes, because of the vague verbiage in the measure, Baltic would risk losing $43,000 in tax dollars. Now, when our budget is what, $600,000? I mean,
Five.
it's, I don't.
It's not our budget annually, around 850, 840.
I don't have my-
So
Yeah, it's seven, yeah, and so $800,000, $900,000, $43,000 is a lot. It's a lot for us, it's a huge hit for us, and so because of the lack of clear definition of what human consumption is, that means that anything that isn't clearly defined by law would then no longer be taxed. So the only thing that is clearly defined by law is alcohol and served food. So those are the only two items that we would still get tax dollars for, but anything else that's human consumption, they wouldn't. So the municipal league, I didn't vet these numbers. They estimate that the negative impact to the city of Baltic would be $43,000. And so I guess the message is there's a lot of ballot measures this fall. Please be an educated voter before you check a box, because yeah, I mean, you need to know what your conscience. There are people that believe that, more taxes is okay for certain reasons and less taxes should be less taxes no matter what, but sometimes people don't always consider what the end impact is. And so this is one where the municipal league has done an overwhelming job of trying to educate the municipalities of how this particular ballot measure will affect our little cities that really desperately rely on those income sources. And so that's just something, did I appropriately?
Yeah, well, 14 incumbents were denied reelection in the legislature, and property taxes are a huge subject of concern. And so when you have initiated measures that are changing the taxing structure, it's democracy, but on the other hand, then representative government can be hamstrung a bit. So this is a really interesting time for South Dakotans, because there's pressures coming in from all sides and everybody seems to want to, everybody wants to win.
Well, and historically, this is a little off topic, but historically, when I was working for the Sioux Falls Chamber, there was a lot of concern about using South Dakota as an experimenting grounds of how to be able to write law. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. And so because we're a small population and there have been some really interesting experiments about what can you do within a state to make things happen. And so I think that, those types of experiments continue to happen because they want to see if they can do it here, then can they roll it out in other places? And when I say they, it's, it's the nebulous they. And so I guess the overwhelming message is that there's some really important stuff to vote on this fall, and you should always educate yourself when you vote anyway, but when it affects you so directly, it's kind of a big deal. It's
And
kind of a big deal.
our voter turnout is abysmally low. I do have one other topic.
Yes, we do have one more, don't we, John? Sorry.
The Grant Park Capital. I do have an update. We received a letter. I think it was July. Second was July 1.
Yes.
From Ryan Hefty, along with a check that was for part of the funding obligations, a small part of the funding obligations that Grant Park undertook in the Southern Department into July 3 of 2023. And so I wrote a response letter, 31 days ago, and have received no substantive response. And so I would request that we take these, Mr. Hefty's letter and my letter, and post them on the website so the citizens can understand kind of what's going on.
I think that's a wonderful recommendation. And does that something that has to be voted on, or should we?
I don't think so.
We usually just consider it public knowledge, right?
I think if you just, Madam Mayor, if you just direct Lacey or however to post these two letters on the website, I think it's important for the citizens to kind of
Let's update that page on
know
litigation.
what's going on.
There's, for those of you who are curious about what's going on with the Grant Park Capital and City of Baltic situation, there is a litigation page that you can go to with updated information. It's not comprehensive, but we try to put stuff there that we think is valuable to the citizens to understand what's going on. We're looking forward to putting this matter behind us, and we're just not there yet, but we're looking forward to the day that we will get there.
And there is no pending litigation.
Thank you.
And so it's important to clarify that there was a settlement agreement entered into. And also it's important to know that the city has not accepted developments. So
The matter is, the settlement agreement has not been fully executed.
correct, yeah, it's so
That's where we're at that.
So I brought these. However, you'd like to.
Yeah, we'll just,
Deborah.
yeah.
I mean, I don't need.
John,
Yes, ma'am.
does the letter you Mr. Hefty mention the amount that the check is that
It's
he's?
$25,000.
And we'll give that to you.
And does your letter mention the amount of the shortfall?
Well, it isn't a shortfall. It's, there's a substantial payment to the city that's tied to the acceptance of the city by the development. But the settlement agreement specifically incorporates statutes, zoning regulations, ordinances, and generally accepted engineering standards for conditions that need to be fulfilled before Baltic, can accept the development. And so there's a difference of opinion over what the city is requiring and what the developer is willing to do. And that's been a consistent theme throughout the history of all of this. And so, you know, 2 years ago, the developer brought, I think, 3 separate lawsuits against the city, and all 3 were dismissed by the courts. And so I'll just tell you what we're telling Mr. Hefty to do is that you have to build a detention pond, and it has to be built in 1 of 2 places. But there is no application that's been made to build a detention pond at either location. And state law and administrative rules in the state require a developer to make an application for a building permit. And until that's done, there's nothing for the city to do. So a complaint that the city is not accepting the development is not well founded because the developer isn't moving forward with the things that require the city to take action. In other words, this body has nothing to act on unless and until the developer actually makes an application to construct a detention. He has to do it in 1 of 2 places. And it's been like this forever.
Over here.
So we're anticipating snowfall coming and then we'll go through another.
We'll see.
You know, it's just, it's what happened in 2022. Did it happen in 2021 too? No,
It's,
No,
okay, 22, it is a blur. It happened in 2022. I mean, when you take a year and a half of your life and you roll it into all this, it is a blur. It's like a war. So basically 2022, 2023, and now we're in 2024.
The reason I asked that, John, is I think it's important for people in our community and people who are judging our community who have the perception that this settlement was in place and Baltic's gotten all this money from this
Oh,
developer
heavens.
and
Nothing's happening. The timing of the developer's part is terrible because the construction season in 2022 was lost. And interest rates, as we all know what happened with the economy. The lost opportunities were based on the desire to externalize costs on the city that developers always take care of as part of a development. So
I will say though, that part of the settlement agreement was for the developer to contribute to other entities external to the city. So there was, there were donations made per the agreement to the school and to the BAA. So those payments were made. One of the first installment payments were made to the city. The lump sum payment is not been made yet because that is contingent upon the
it's that
acceptance.
200 something now.
Yeah, 237, 273, something like that.
The settlement agreement is on.
It's all public, it's all public knowledge. And so, so installment payments. The installment payments as agreed have, the first round of installment payments have been paid. However, the city is waiting for the developer to do the next step, and we can't do anything until they do. So
Well,
that's really where we're
Here's a
at.
brief lesson in municipal development, county development. The planning and zoning, you know, I guess you'd call it board of a municipality. This municipality is vested with fully vetting any application to construct an improvement on a development. The city can't just willy-nilly do stuff. The developer has engineers and design people and needs to initiate. One of the key critical infrastructure requirements of this development is the detention pond to control surface water overflows, which is where this thing all started back in.
So the ball's in his court. and we're-
All's in his court. So we're
We're
just,
with him.
we're just waiting.
Thank you. for that, for your
I
acceptance.
could go on.
You know what?
I could.
We've been doing this for 2.5 years,
Yeah.
you know, what's another 20 minutes, right?
You almost need therapy.
So, with that,
And how would you feel?
I have a couch over here in the other room. So, I feel like that we have gone through everything on the agenda. Is there anything else we've missed? I don't think that we've gotten anything else. We're at 8:07. I would love to request to adjourn if that's okay with you guys.
Make a motion to adjourn at 8:08. Yeah.
Perfect.
Second,
Ah, see, there it is. A first and a second, all those in favor say aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Good night, Walter. Be well.
good night.
See you, Steve.
Yeah, good night, everyone. Thanks for coming in. Thank you.
Yeah, it was nice to meet you guys.
You too. Yeah, thanks for coming. I think this is like that. Thanks, good.
This is less than.